we are in another episode of Tenkaichi Podcast. Today it's another uh, legend tales. We will talk about the legend of the origin of the Wing Chun. I'm reading from Legend of the Martial Arts Masters. And Wing Chun is a Chinese martial art. It was developed over 300 years ago by Ngmui, a Buddhist nun in a Shaolin monastery. Ngmui was a very small woman who found that she was not able to make standard martial arts techniques work against people much larger than she was. She didn't have a lot of muscle, weight, or a long reach. What she did have was speed and the ability to use an opponent's size against him. After learning her teacher's style thoroughly, she began modifying it to suit her needs. The result is what we now call Wing Chun, a quick, efficient style named after one of Ngmui's best students. This is the story of that student. Okay, sorry for my misreading, but just a quick explaining. So, usually we think about the Shaolin monastery as male only, which is true in part, because there is also a female Shaolin monastery close by the main north monastery, where of course there are Shaolin nun in this case. We know the Shaolin as a martial art. It started as a Buddhist temple. So inside these two monasteries there were nuns and monks studying Buddhism. Later on they start to learn martial arts. So what these legends say, this nun learned the Shaolin martial art, but she found out that she wasn't able to use that style to against bigger opponent, so she modified it. So this is the story. Yim Wing Chun was in love. Her boyfriend, Leon Bok Chow, was handsome, intelligent, thoughtful, and most of all, hopelessly in love with Wing Chun. He was also leaving on a long journey. That journey would take him away from the northern mountains where Wing Chun lived to Fujian in the southern part of China. It will take him across difficult terrain through a region at war against the Manchurian occupation. He and Wing Chun will be apart for more than a year. When I return, Bok Chow said, we will get married. I will set up a salt shop near your father's bean curd shop. We will work together and have beautiful children. Come home safely, Wing Chun said, holding his hand thoughtfully to her heart. I can't imagine a future without you. Life for Wing Chun was lonely without Bok Chow. Since her mother died several months earlier, Wing Chun had done the cooking and cleaning for her father. During the afternoons, she worked in the family shop. Having work to do was a comfort. Her mother had always told her that if she kept busy, the loneliness wouldn't hurt so badly. So she scrubbed the house and her father's shop until it shone. But life without either Bok Chow or her mother had a big hole right in the middle of it. One day, Wing Chun was in the back of her father's shop making tofu, a soft bean curd cheese. She heard her father in the front greet a customer warmly. The two struck up a conversation. Her father did love to talk, The customer, a servant of a local warlord, noticed Wing Chun in the back of the shop. "Is that your daughter?" the customer said. Her father nodded. "Her name is Wing Chun. It means beautiful springtime." His eyes were filled with pride. "She's very beautiful," the customer commented, watching Wing Chun's every move. "Yes," her father said, "and she has a wonderful, gentle, and giving spirit. I don't know what I would have done without her since her mother died." "My lord is looking for a wife," the servant said. "He is very wealthy and very powerful. Your daughter will want for nothing." "I'm flattered," her father said, "but Wing Chun is engaged. She will marry Leon Bok Chao when he returns from Fukien. I'm sorry, but it has already been arranged." "I see," said the servant. "Ah, pity. I know my lord will find her very desirable." The next day, Wing Chun was sweeping the shop when a large, elegantly armored man stepped up to the front window. Wing Chun," he said gruffly, almost as thought he were issuing a command. "I am Wing Chun," she said, setting aside her broom. "Yes," the large man said to his servant, the man who had been at the shop the day before. "You are right. She will make a beautiful wife for me." "Call your father," he said to Wing Chun. "The two of you will come with me. The wedding will be this afternoon." "Sir, I'm engaged," Wing Chun said. "I can't marry you. I don't even know you." Yes, yes," he said impatiently. "That doesn't matter to me. I am a straightforward man. If I like something, I take it. If someone stands in my way, I go right over the top of him. I find it make life much simpler. Now call your father." Wing Chun turned and began to walk home to get her father. She was eager to get away from the terrible man at the shop, and soon found her walk had turned into stumbling trot and then a run. What an ugly, terrible, altogether nasty man, she thought. "I can't marry him. I can't marry him." Lost in her thought and fear, she rounded the corner of a vegetable shop and almost ran into a woman buying a cabbage. "I beg your pardon," Wing Chun said, as she looked up to see the woman was a Buddhist nun. "And what has you dashing through the market?" The nun asked, a gentle smile caressing her old face. I have to get my father," Wing Chun stammered. A warlord. My father has to—" "Slow down," the nun replied. "The warlord and your father are not here right now. Right now it is just you and I. There is nothing here that can hurt you. My name is Ngumwe. I am a nun at the White Crane Temple. Take a couple of deep breaths. If you will tell me that what has you so upset, maybe I can help." Wing Chun breathed in and out, looking into the gentle face of the woman standing before her. She saw a deep calm. The tension drained from her body, and she began to cry. Before she knew it, she had told the kind nun the whole story about Bok Chow, her mother's death, the warlord. "I see," said Ngumwe. "Let's go get your father. I think I may have a solution to your problem." "So you see," Wing Chun's father said to the warlord, sitting in their home, "I couldn't possibly arrange for a suitable wedding in less than a year's time." And Mui looked on from the corner where she sat holding Wing Chun's hand. He was handling the situation just as the head coached him. I need some time to plan the feast. A great man like yourself should be honored properly on his wedding day, and I need to send word to Bok Chow breaking the engagement. With all the turmoil in the country, it could easily take a year to find him. Yes, I think a year will be appropriate. A year from today, you will marry my daughter at a wedding that people will talk about for years to come. A year, said the warlord. She had better be worth the wait. Oh, she will be, her father said. A year then. The warlord stood, cast a quick glance at Wing Chun, spoon on his heel, and left. That gives us a year to prepare, Mui said. Mr. Yi, please send a message to Bok Chow. Wing Chun, meet me tomorrow at dawn outside the gates of the temple. A year is none too long. We must work hard. At dawn, Wing Chun walked the path up the hill to the monastery. Just outside the gates of a small garden, she found Mui. The old nun stood motionless, her feet about shoulders width apart, knees bent, her right hand in a fist pulled back to her side at the waist, her left hand open in front of her chest. On her face was a look of complete concentration. As she watched, Wing Chun saw that the nun was not in fact standing motionless. Slowly, too slowly to be seen, her left hand inched steadily forward. Wing Chun sat down on a bench and watched, fascinated. When Mui finished her exercise, her face damped with perspiration, she turned to Wing Chun and motioned for her to come. It's your turn to practice, she said. I see now why I was sent here. I thought it was just bad luck when the war against the Manchurians drove me from my home. But I see now that I was sent here to teach you. You have a year to learn how to turn power, rudeness, and brute force against itself. Here, stand like this. Spring turned into summer. Each morning Wing Chun climbed the hill to garden outside the monastery. Summer turned into fall. Her punches and kicks gained speed and power. Winter covered the garden with snow and ice, and Wing Chun learned to keep her feet under center while moving quickly and effortlessly. Winter yielded to spring. The day of the wedding approached. It's time, Mui said to Wing Chun on the day of their final lesson. Send word to the warlord that we need to see him about some last-minute details. The warlord came into town, sitting atop a powerful horse. Wing Chun looked up at him, at the heavy armor covering huge muscles, at the thickness of his neck and the size of his hand. He stepped down off his horse and walked over to where Wing Chun, her father, and Mui stood. What is this last-minute details? That's so important that it couldn't wait until the wedding tomorrow? If anything, he had grown even uglier in the last year. It is a matter of honor, Mui said, stepping forward to meet him. You see, Wing Chun is a member of a secret society of martial arts. As a part of her oath, she promised never to marry a man who could not defeat her in an unarmed fight. What? The warlord shouted. That's ridiculous. I have never heard of such a thing in my life. That's not surprising, Mui said calmly. Not many people have. The society is secret, after all. You're saying I have to fight her? Fight this puny little thing? Yes, said Mui. She is, as you say, quite small. It should be no problem for a powerful man like you. A mere formality, really. Do you want this? The warlord said to Wing Chun. I must, sir, she said. I would be humiliated to marry someone who was not my equal. Not your equal? Not your equal? Such foolishness. I will be happy to flatten you, to teach you some respect for your future husband. He waved over his servant, stripped off his sword and his armor, and pillowed them in his servant's arms. He rolled his head on his shoulder to loose up. Let's finish this nonsense quickly. It will be a shame to mess up such a pretty face just before the wedding. Wing Chun stepped out to the center of the street. She faced the warlord calmly. She nodded ever so slightly to him, then brought her hands up in front of her. A crowd began to gather. The warlord closed the distance with a swagger. He put his hands up and charged, his hands grabbing for her waist. Wing Chun shifted her weight, slipped his attack, and at the last second swept his back foot out from under him. The warlord went sprawling into the dust. He stood, brushed the dirt from his knees, and glared at Wing Chun. She met his gaze with a look of calm concentration. The warlord, more cautious this time, closed the distance again, brushing down her guard with his front hand. He swung wildly at her head. Wing Chun used the downward momentum, ducked the punch, and came up under the warlord's ribs with a fast, hard punch. The warlord grunted in pain and staggered backward. Still clenching his ribs, he reached into his belt and drew out a dagger. I will kill you, he said, before I will be beaten by you. With a great cry, he charged, driving the dagger toward Wing Chun's belly. Like a door opening, she pivoted on her heels, slipped the attack, and extended a punch at the neck level. The force of the warlord's attack carried him into it, and it crashed into his throat with a force that picked up off his feet. Lying on the ground, he gagged and gasped. His servant rushed to his aid, and Mui brushed them aside and knelt next to him. She prayed his hands from his throat and examined him. He will live, she said. Take him away. He is not worthy for my pupil. The servant gathered up their master and carried him off. A few days later, Wing Chun was working at her father's shop. She looked up from the bean curd she was stirring to see Bok Chow looking down at her. A look of pain covered his face. Am I too late? He asked. Your father's not said the wedding was 2 days ago. Tell me I'm not too late. No, Bok Chow, she said. Even if you had not come for another year, you will not be too late. I will wait a lifetime just for a few seconds as your wife. He gathered her in his arm. But the warlord, he said, will not bother us. I convinced him I was more trouble than I was worth. Then come with me, my wife-to-be. We have a lot to look about. Wing Chun and Bok Chow got married. They decided not to open the salt shop they had planned on, but rather join the struggle against the Manchurian occupation. Wing Chun taught her husband all she knew about the martial arts. Together they taught students, who soon came to call the style Wing Chun. And so this is one version of the most popular version, most common one of the origin of the Wing Chun, as one in my video said before. And this week was actually also the day against the violence against women, Women's Violence Day. So that's nice to. That's why I wanted to bring this story to you. Also to show the world that women can be stronger. They have different. Well, everybody is different. I mean, it's not that because they're women, so they're not strong, but they are strong because they are different quality. They're not men stronger, but they're women stronger. There is not anything wrong about this. I am not too tall, so I can't use the same style of a tall guy, right? And I'm not so strong as like a big wrestler, so I can't lift a lot of weight, so I can choose a different style. As in fact, Wing Chun, that's the Ningmue was the matron of the who created the style. Wing Chun was another woman who made it famous, but then in history this style is not only for women, also for men, as well as the Shaolin that was created by men. Now also women can use it, and they can generate a lot of power too. And also, big man, I'm sure no one that is listening this podcast is a toxic man or toxic woman, but I'm sure we can be the example. The men that are listening this podcast can be the example for other men to how to treat women with respect, and the woman also can be example to show other women how to be strong without putting men down, but respecting each other in a different value. Everybody has different. We have to praise differences and not be ashamed of the differences. Also respect. Even if they don't respect us, they think differently from us. And for today is all. There's also Thanksgiving for some people out there. So happy Thanksgiving and be thankful for everything you have. And remember to always train and train good.